This is Mattitude, the podcast, your favorite Eurovision podcast, with your host, Matt from ESC United. This podcast is funded by viewers and listeners like you through PayPal and Patreon. If you want to support the show, visit our Patreon page. Now enjoy the show.
What's up, you fools? Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. Welcome. This is Mattitude, the podcast, and hopefully you're going to make it yourself comfortable. Yes, this is the very first podcast of the 2020 season, and yes, we know calendar-wise we're not even halfway through 2019, but in Eurovision terms, we're done, right? 2019 is a thing of the past. We are now looking forward to 2020. We're going to be in the 20s now. That is so weird. But yes, that is what we're going to focus on every week here. Hopefully, I will be able to do a little bit more of a longer format podcast. But we'll talk about the information, the news of the week, and then take them apart, dissect them, and just share our thoughts. For today, it is just going to be me, but in the near future, I will have plenty of guests here to share their thoughts, so it's not just me talking about this. But let's get this thing rolling. There is so much to talk about. Just a quick shout out. Thank you to Nadine. I don't have your last name, for becoming a Patreon. Your support is greatly appreciated. Any help financing all of these events, traveling, Eurovision, equipment, that is what you do, and I could not be more grateful. All right, let's talk about the topics, the things that has happened at Eurovision so far. And yes, you may say this is the Eurovision off-season. Not a whole lot is happening, but think again. There are plenty of things happening, so let's talk these through. The first thing, of course, is all about where is Eurovision taking place. Now, we all know it's going to be in the Netherlands. They won Duncan Lawrence, so that's not going to change. But we're in the Netherlands, yes. The country may not be that big, but it is big enough for cities to fight over the hosting rights. And in case you don't know how it works, so once a country has won the contest, which Netherlands did with Arcade, they are now being given the privilege of hosting the next year contest. The Netherlands obviously accepted, no surprise there, and now all of these cities and places are putting forward their bids, hoping to actually host the contest. It's a great way for tourism and just introducing their place to the world, or to Europe in this case. And there is not a lack of interest in the Netherlands, to say the least, because there are currently 8 cities still fighting or showing their interest to host the contest. That is a big number. Now, as we all know, it's been a long time. The last time the Netherlands won was in 1975. They did host it in between, though, I believe in 1980. When Israel won, they withdrew actually in 1980, so therefore the Netherlands got to host it apparently. So anyway, 8 countries, I said it again, I don't know why I get stuck on countries. 8 cities are still fighting. 1 city has already withdrawn their bid, apparently. So the countries that are still in the running are, and I'm going to butcher some of those names, and I'll get better at them as time progresses. You are allowed to correct me. Amsterdam, obviously. Then there's Arnhem, Breda, Hertogenbosch, Maastricht, Rotterdam, The Hague, or as Dutch folks call it, Den Haag, and Utrecht. Those are the cities, as of right now, still fighting over the privilege of hosting the contest. Leeuwarden actually initially also wanted to host it, but as it turns out, their arena is not suitable. And for that, the reason is their ceiling is too low of the venue that they were going to put forward. So if the ceiling is too low, it means you cannot do it with all the lights hanging and camera stuff. You need to have a great view, and they just don't have enough time and probably money to fix the ceiling issue. Therefore, Leeuwarden is out. So, but the other countries are cities. I'll work on it. The other 8 cities are still in it, and I'm sure some of them will be eliminated and all of that stuff. But for now, this is what's going on. 2 of the favorites, and by favorites I mean top contenders, if we believe the rumors, are Rotterdam and The Hague. Actually, interestingly enough, Amsterdam, you would think, is one of the biggest contenders, and I personally still believe that to be the case. However, there's less local push for Amsterdam. I'm sure a lot of folks, people that are traveling to Eurovision, myself included, would love a contest in Amsterdam. But there are other things that come in, need to be factored in here. They already have a bunch of events that year in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, that is. And the mayor, even though still interested, it makes sense to host it there. He will not battle other cities over the hosting, right? So if another city comes along and says, okay, we want to host it, there will not stand in the way. And there's a lot of support apparently for other cities, as pointed out. Certain provinces support certain bids. For instance, they're starting to endorse it. Sweet Holland, which I guess is South Holland, they announced that they will support either Rotterdam or Den Haag if they were chosen financially, promotionally, or whatever it is. So they want the contest to take place in one of those two cities. And then Maastricht received an endorsement and support from the province of Limburg. And unfortunately, Amsterdam, as of right now, has not received a whole lot of vocal support from any other province. At the same time, it's Amsterdam. Do they need any further support, additional support from other provinces? It's Amsterdam, for crying out loud. I feel as they don't need it. They're always a contender, and I still think they're in the running. Just a whole lot of vocal support for other places, and as I pointed out. And we still have a little bit of time. The organizers will visit the cities, most likely in July, which is next month. At least that is the process in previous years. It's common practice. And just look at the venue, all of the things that are set up. Keep in mind, it's more than just the venue that matters here. Venue, very, very important, obviously, where the contest is taking place. But they need to have a suitable center next, basically adjacent or wherever, where the press can be housed and other things, a press center, conference rooms, you name it. So they need to have additional places for that. In addition, do the cities have enough hotel rooms for the people traveling to the contest to house them? And there are other criteria that, we don't have to go into all of them, that they need to fulfill. So the organizers will go out there, representatives probably from the broadcaster and potentially the EBU will go there, look at things, and then ultimately narrow it down and make a final decision. That decision will be announced in August. So it is now, June 23rd or 22nd, something like that. So we have potentially another 2 months, maybe just 45 days until we find out where the contest will take place. And at that particular time, I'm pretty sure we will also have the actual dates of the contest. Right now, we don't know when it's taking place. Yes, it'll be in May, but will it be the first week in May, the second weekend? We don't know yet. So let's just hang in there and wait. That is still up for grabs. And that is where we at right now. We'll find out fairly soon. My thoughts, I'm sure you want to know, where do I want to go? Needless to say, I'd love to go to Amsterdam. It's one of my favorite cities in Europe, if not my favorite. No, there are a lot of contenders, but Amsterdam is really high up in my ranking. It's a beautiful city, and it is so relaxing, yet so active at the same time. It's not even for me all the craziness, red light district and all the smoking that is going on there. No, for me, it's actually really more about the people, the food, and the parks. I just love going to the parks that Amsterdam has and just relax there. And I just love it. I get it. It's overrun by tourists, Amsterdam these days. So adding another contest there could be even make things matters worse. I understand the concept behind not potentially going to Amsterdam. That being said, it wouldn't be my personal favorite, maybe, but I would be just as excited if the contest were to take place in Rotterdam. I've been to Rotterdam only once so far, but I love the city. It's a very different city from anything I've ever seen before in my life. It is, we know what happened during World War II and how the city was rebuilt, and it's just like this new modern piece of art, almost something that I have never seen before. It is so clean, it is as I said, very modern, contemporary, and just something that we don't get to see anywhere else in Europe, I find. And it is probably, I mean, the Netherlands, not a cheap country, but I find, at least when I was looking for places, Rotterdam is a little bit more affordable. So that would be a plus as well. In addition to that, if you want to go to Amsterdam, if I want to go to Amsterdam, it's not far. It's like a little bit over an hour by train, I think, right? So, yeah, I can still go there and see the city. I don't have to be always somewhere in the canal in Amsterdam. I'm fine with being a little bit further out, so that would work for me. So Rotterdam would be high up in my ranking, a close second. So Amsterdam, Rotterdam, either of them would be fine with me. Other than that, and this, keep in mind, this is just my opinion for selfish reasons. It would be cool to go to a more or less known place that is, or maybe not as featured on the list of Eurovision fans or just touristy places. But if my third pick would be Den Haag. The Hague, if you will, because it's kind of like there in that triangle, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague. So they're all fairly within, a reasonable driving / train distance to get from one place to the other. And it's a pretty big city. I've been there only once for like a very short amount of time, basically driving through and just spending like a couple of hours there. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of the city, and you're still right there where things are happening. So maybe a fair compromise. Although then I'm going to call it The Hague, Den Haag, or whatever you pronounce it. But no, those would be my personal top three. For selfish reasons. Once again, as a Dutch person, those that are Dutch, I'm sure you have different thoughts and approaches. You would love to have it somewhere less obvious, and I get it, but for me, it would be just way more convenient and probably a little bit more exciting. I've been doing for Eurovision for quite a few years now. I think the smallest place I've been to since hosting since I've been doing it was Malmö in 2013, Sweden, and to me, it was somewhat rough. Rough is maybe a harsh word, but it was not as convenient as I'd like it to be in smaller place like that. We got an Airbnb that was a little bit off the beaten path because Sweden is very expensive. So the buses shut down like at 7 or 8 in the evening. So it was so difficult to get to our place. And there wasn't just that much to do besides Eurovision. Yes, Copenhagen was just a train ride away, but it's not cheap going over there all the time. So Malmö was definitely, in certain ways, a little bit of a struggle for me. I still enjoyed it, but I do like bigger cities when it comes to Eurovision. Then we had a good run of big cities. Yes, we went to Copenhagen, and then Vienna, and then, what am I missing? Oh, Stockholm, Kiev, Lisbon, and Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv actually not that big, but it felt pretty busy actually there. So, and it was Israel, the options were limited. But, so yes, if you ask me, this would be my ranking. Amsterdam number 1, or Rotterdam. It's kind of like, yeah. And then as my backup, definitely Den Haag. Hopefully one of those will be chosen. If not, I'll still go. So this is not going to prevent me from going, but it is just what it is. So that's where we're at with the host city situation and the dates. More things to come. I'm sure some of these cities will withdraw at some point. And we still kind of have our, potential candidates, like the favorites that we all believe could host at Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and all of that. But maybe they gonna surprise us. You never know. You never know. All right, let's move on. What else has been happening? So it has been announced. Let's talk about this tiny nation, Malta, real quick. Not much to say, though. Malta qualified this year for the first time since 2016, right? That was the last time they qualified, so they missed it 2 years in a row. And it hasn't been going well for them, their national final in previous years, so they scrapped that. And instead, they brought back the X Factor for Malta, and the winner was then chosen to represent Malta at Eurovision, which was Michaela in the end. And she managed to squeeze through to the finals and finished in a respectable, oh God, what was it, 14th place? I forgot. So she was, it was a good result for Malta compared to the previous results. So they're bringing it back once again. And It has not been announced, though, if this will be used as the Eurovision selection show, if you know what I mean. The hosts haven't changed. Ira Losko will be once again, for a second year in a row, be one of the judges on the show. In case you don't know who she is, she previously represented Malta at Eurovision twice, actually. The first time was in 2002. So, oh my God, it'll be 18 years next year. So, with Seventh Wonder, where she almost won second place. Then she came back in 2016, where she was Walking on Water, where she then finished overall 13th, 14th place again. So, not too shabby. So, now she is, once again, that's a connection we have with the judges on there. And once again, we do not know if the winner of that show will actually go to Eurovision. That'll be announced hopefully in the near future. So, Michela won the X Factor last year and, was chosen. The song in the end, Chameleon, was then chosen internally by producers. Several people shared their thoughts and input, and ultimately that is what they went with. And you can make a point here and make a case that it was the right decision because they're qualified, right? Do I like this X Factor selection thing? Not really. I don't like mixing these singing talent shows, whether it's X Factor, The Voice, or any just unique singing show from a specific country, and mix it with Eurovision. I feel as Eurovision needs to be a standalone event. In my view, that is mine, so I don't like it. And X Factor usually chooses, especially more like Western countries in particular, a very specific, approachable pop singer style. So I feel as we get less diversity, in addition, it's usually like very young singers that tend to do well on those shows, bands, or singers over the age of 30, believe it or not, that's old these days. They don't usually get chosen a whole lot, and I don't like that. I know anyone can potentially take part and potentially anyone can win that show, but I live in reality, and that usually doesn't happen. Have a specific show dedicated to Eurovision. If you still want to go with an internal selection when it comes to the actual song, please do so. But don't use X Factor for that. That is my hope. It's just not something I particularly enjoy. I don't watch X Factor shows, and I love watching national finals. But these whole, like 10 young or 10 singers performing a cover version for like a minute and a half, and then one gets eliminated. And then the judges having so much say, like influencing people's opinions, not for me. So I'm hoping they're going back to either a national final or come up with a specific show dedicated to Eurovision where they just have the singers perform certain songs and the song being chosen internally. Figure it out, Malta. Just don't go with that. That is my hoping. Anyway, more to come on that. Let's talk about some of our former participants at Eurovision, because once Eurovision is over, we all know that their career hopefully doesn't come to a halt at that point, and we do want to support our previous participants. So every time we're going to do this podcast, we want to point out a few names and acts that actually released music over the past few days, weeks, or potentially months if we're kind of falling behind. Music for you to check out. And some of them is pretty good. Let's start with 2018's participant from Australia, Jessica Mauboy, We Got Love. Unfortunately, she finished in last place in the televote last year. She still finished, I think, 20th overall. Or maybe a position off. But definitely Australia's worst result today, but she already was a big name in Australia. This is still her, she's still out there doing music, and I'm so happy about that. She just released a new song called Little Things, and in addition to that, get ready, get your pre-orders ready wherever you like to do it. She's going to have a new album coming out called Hilda. But for now, we got the song Little Things by Jessica Mauboy.
I make big things out of little things, and I watch you keep missing them. You don't get why it's killing me every time you mess this up.
There you have it. What do you think? Can't play too much because copyright, even though it's fair use, blah, blah, blah. But I don't have time for this. So lyrically, it's basically all about, trying to fight for a relationship, trying to keep it going. But it's always a one-way street. It seems that her partner is not pulling his or her weight. And, that is the message of the song. Jessica Mawboy still going strong. You remember Kaino from this year in Norway? They also have a new song. Yes, Kaino. Kaino. Man, a lot of fans are still very upset about this. Kaino, in case you don't know, as pointed out, represented Norway this year with Spirits in the Sky. They finished in 6th place overall, but they actually won the televote. Yes, they won the televote, but dropped to 6th place overall because the juries did not feel this one at all. As a matter of fact, if it were up to the juries, Norway wouldn't have even qualified to the finals. So they were definitely saved by the televoters, and they're going strong. I'm so glad, actually, because they're very likable, and they were so into Eurovision, and they were working so hard. They were giving interviews like until the very last minute before they had to be back on stage. Professionals to the nth degree. Big fan of them. I love their song as well, and they're back, so that means they'll continue to make music, and I could not be happier. The new song's called Praying.
I hate praying. Am I lost? I don't wanna go home. If I must, I'll be fighting alone. Won't let anybody hold me down. I hate praying.
There you have it. They're all having their part in that song. It's very interesting. It's a different song, obviously, but the setup is similar to what they did with Spirits in the Sky. First, the male singer is singing his part, then she comes in, and then they're both singing a little bit parts of the chorus as well. Alexandra is her name, I forgot her name, and then Fred is doing his little yodel thing, I always call it, folk thing, at the end. So just, melodically and composition-wise different, but I can see where their style is very similar to what we saw at Eurovision. Comes down to whether or not people will like this one. I would love to hear from you. Do you think this is better, worse, or kind of the same as Spirits in the Sky? I know it's very difficult for us Eurovision fans to let go of the song, like the song from Eurovision, because we've heard it so many times. We have so much affection towards it. So try to put that to the side and just appreciate the new song for what it is. Who else put music forward? Eleni Ferreira. Fuego, you remember her? Cyprus, 2018, yes. She was definitely giving Netta a run for her money, trying to win it for Cyprus. She finished in 2nd place overall, best result for Cyprus to date, and she is going strong. And she released an EP, and we are so happy for her. It's called Gypsy Woman, from what I'm hearing, and check it out. You have a bunch of songs, I think 5 of them available. Let's play you here a song in Spanish, El Ritmo Psicodélico.
El ritmo psicodélico, loco, 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 loco.
Okay, so this music to me, definitely not something I would personally play here at home, but on the dance floor. This would be flippin' awesome, and this sounds so like Eleni. I'm so happy that she's going strong. Seeing her at Eurovision this year, even though she didn't win, having her own little moment, dancing Lascia Tombai. That was funny. I'm so glad that she was there, and I'm glad that she gets to have a career and make music. Happy. So make sure to support her and let me know if you like her music. Oh, and I have an uncomfortable question for you. Do you like Jamala? Do you like her music? Did you like 1944, the winning song in 2016? Either way, if you don't, still check out her latest single called Solo. It has been released, but it now has a music video on top of it. Check it out on YouTube. It's a quite a elaborate music video, definitely a lot of work and effort put into that. So as a winner, I know there was a lot of controversy how she handled the national final, what she said, and how she handled Maru's situation when it comes to Crimea and all of that. But put that aside and just focus on the music. And hopefully you can enjoy the song. If it's for you, make sure to check out Jamala and support your Eurovision artists. Then who else? Oh, another winner on our list here. Malo, he won for Sweden in 2015 and Heroes, and he actually released a music video for Better Now for a month, I want to say. And now there's an actual music video out on top of it. It made it in the Swedish charts. It's a very summer vibe friendly song, so if you like that kind of music, feel free to check it out. It's not what I would expect from Malo, but hey, I'm always glad when people try to experiment with style and what they're comfortable with rather than going with the stuff that they're so used to. And yes, make sure it's available as well for downloads and all of that. Malo's song is out, Better Now. If there are any other songs or acts that you want me to feature or highlight here, make sure to send me a tweet. I'm available on my Twitter handle. It's Matt ESC United. And if there are other great artists and songs that are out there that we should announce, because we're a big family here at Eurovision. Hugs. Okay, I'm really not like that, but still, we do want to support our former participants, our alumni, and all of that. So yes, that's what I have for you for today when it comes to new music from Eurovision artists. What else do we have to talk about? Yes, okay, let's talk a little bit about, we talked about the host city. Let's talk about the host, or hosts, plural that is. So who is going to host the contest in 2020 in Amsterdam? I don't know, obviously, but there are a few things that happened, and let's talk this through. So, Cornald Maas. Cornald Maas is well known to most, if not all, Eurovision folks. He is actually referred to as Mr. Dutch, Mr. Eurovision. It seems as every country has their own Mr. Eurovision, though, it seems. He is basically a ESC legend in the Netherlands, and I'm actually a big supporter of his as well. More on that later. Now, he has been involved when it comes in Eurovision for a very long time, over 25 years. I think 1993 is when he started getting involved, and he has been a commentator for the Eurovision Song Contest in the Netherlands on and off, I think since 2000, and gosh, I don't know how long ago, but for many, many years. Then he stopped, then he came back. So in addition to that, I actually saw him in Amsterdam this year. He was hosting Eurovision in concert in Amsterdam, which was fun, and he did a fantastic job. He also did all the red carpet thing there as well, and I saw him also. He was in the press center. He is always involved, and he's doing a fabulous job. He's very knowledgeable of Eurovision. So is he going to host it? We don't know yet, right? The contest. Now, the broadcaster announced like an open call for the hosting job, because we don't know if they're going to be one or more people. And several people have put forward the names showing their interest in hosting the contest. Individuals from the Netherlands that I personally have never heard of. Names like, Eva Jinek, Nikke de Ager, Chantal Janssen. No clue who they are. But in response, Mr. Maas was not very happy with the process, apparently. And I'm paraphrasing here a little bit because, I use Google Translate. But he basically was talking about, it's kind of hilarious how these stakeholders and candidate presenters are trying to take the spot who never really cared about the entire song festival. Now are shamelessly putting their name forward just to be in front of the line and get that hosting spot when they previously didn't care about it at all. So according to him, someone who has shown interest in the contest and has the knowledge should be hosting the contest. The question is, should that be a criteria? Does he have a point, or is he overreacting? Well, let's talk about this for a second. I'm going to share you my thoughts, at least, about this. And I'm mostly with him on this. Look, as a Eurovision fan, and who has a lot of love and appreciation for the contest. And I take it seriously. I mean, having fun, of course, but I do take the contest seriously. I do want someone who shows just as much, cares just as much about the contest as I do, because the problem is, if you don't, yes, you can study up on it and you get the flow of the hosting part, but there are certain things that you just know and understand and click, and you can be quicker when you're on stage if you have to improvise with the results. And that is the issue if you have someone who has no clue about Eurovision or what else is happening there. Cornell would have zero issues with the results. He know exactly who is who and what does what, and that would be great. And you want to give him that. You want to give him, like, he worked so hard for Eurovision. It makes perfect sense that he can at least host or co-host the event. That's like a dream come true, right? Now, I would be hesitant to make it a rule that you need to have some kind of connection to the contest. Looking at Israel, with the exception of Bar Rafael, the model host, she didn't have any connection to Eurovision prior to this. All the other people involved had connections and knew a lot about the contest, were fans, and that is always something we appreciate. So if they're going to do that, I would say have the majority of folks be Eurovision experts or knowledgeable at least, and have like one person or two that may not know quite as much. But it would be very frustrating when you just pick names for the sake of names. I understand. It's business. It's a business. You have to make sure that people tune in. If they're like, oh, this person is hosting it, well, I better tune in. Does it really still happen? I don't know. The host's supposed to be just there to transition between moments from one part of the show to the next. And I feel especially in Israel, I mean, they had a few, like The Magician was stupid, but they did a fairly good job keeping the show going, not putting the focus too much on them, the hosts, but keep it on the artists, the countries, and everything else involved. And that I thought was very, very effective. We may get, again, 4 hosts. That seems to be a thing now these days. We had it in Israel. We had it in Portugal. I don't like it, but I understand for the flow of the show, it's easier logistically to have all these hosts. So if that were to be the case, I don't see a problem. Why not give one of those spots to Cornell? He earned it. He earned it. But yes, I understand if he's being left out, there must be some frustration. But it's show business, right? If you're in the show business, I understand that things aren't always fair. And that's why I couldn't do it. That's why I couldn't work in show business. I would be like, what? Not cool. But yeah, so that is definitely a concern that I share with him. At the same time, no, we cannot make a rule about it. But I strongly encourage the broadcaster and those in charge of choosing the host to take a look at all these people that already have Eurovision experience, which includes Cornel Maas, because he's pretty awesome. He's funny, he's quick, and he knows his stuff. And that is exactly what you need and want. So, but we have to wait. We don't know when we're going to get the host's announcement. It'll probably be another few months. We're still early. It's been just a little bit over a month since 2019 came to a close. But things are moving. Things are definitely moving around here, so that is interesting. It's never over at Eurovision. It always keeps going. Another quick shout out to Mahmoud from Italy, who represented Italy at Eurovision this year with Soldi finishing in 2nd place. Not far off from winning. This was pretty close. There were not many points between the winning song, Arcade, and Soldi. So he should be very proud regardless of the outcome. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, because he just passed a major milestone. Soldi just has passed the 100 million view mark on YouTube. That is a big number that doesn't happen often. Now, there are certainly a few, it keeps growing now because YouTube wasn't always a thing, and but now, even then now, it is a big deal when a country goes past that mark. I think about 5 million of them are just from me because I listened to it so many times. But congratulations to that. I know he celebrated it on Instagram, and I just want to give a shout out to Mahmoud. Very talented, a very nice guy, and I wish him nothing but the best. Italy, one of the best songs again this year. I would have been totally cool if it would have won. So congratulations, 100 million views. And what other, interesting enough, Italian songs, to be fair, tend to be the ones that go really high in the viewing numbers. The most viewed Eurovision video, if I'm not mistaken, is actually 2017 Occidentali Kama, which now has over 200 million views. That is a lot. But Soldi has a lot of time to catch up. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But and then Grande Amore from 2015, Il Volo also has more than 100 million views. And what other songs made it? Oh yes, Toy last year, Netta also surpassed 100 million. And then I believe Fairy Tale by Alexander Rybak also made it. So not that many songs. It's a very exclusive club, and Mahmood has joined that club. Will Duncan Lawrence do the same? I haven't really checked his views yet, but congratulations. Just a quick shout out there. All right, what else is happening in the Eurovision world? What do we have? Oh yes, let's talk a little bit about Spain. España, Operacion Triunfo. In case you don't know what that is like a singing talent show in Spain where the acts are being put like in a house, but into like an academy where they rehearse and practice, and the cameras are everywhere for us to watch them. And then they have these live shows where they sing and perform. And then they have a dedicated Eurovision show, at least a couple of years, where songwriters send in their songs, and then they choose the singer that they want them to sing the song. And then of the finalists, they're going to have a dedicated Eurovision show. And then the people get to vote on their favorite song. And they're returning again, Operacion Triunfo this year. It has not been announced whether or not they're going to have a dedicated Eurovision show as well. So meaning one of the Operacion Triunfo participants will represent Spain. That remains to be seen. This would be the third year in a row where they're doing it. If they were to do that, let's wait and see. Now, the last two acts that were chosen, obviously this year we had Miki Lavenda. He won the show. And then also Alfred and Amaya, they won with Tu Cancion. So neither of these songs really left an impact. They finished in 23rd and 22nd place, I believe, respectively. And but even to be fair, before they did the Operacion Triunfo for the past 5 years, I don't think Spain made it past into the top 20 actually, which is very, very frustrating. I can only imagine. Now, as far as my thoughts are concerned, should they do this again? No. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The songs often sent to Operacion Triunfo are like demo songs, not completed, and often it goes with the hype rather with the best song. And on top of that, a lot of the acts don't want to go to Eurovision. That's not what they want to do. They want to use Operacion Triunfo to start a career in music in Spain, not to go to Eurovision. It's not for everyone. It's not for every act. And I totally get that. I also get that these acts, especially last year, early on signed up for it and saying, hey, you will do the Eurovision show. And they understood, I will take that. I will accept that, even though I don't want to do it. So some of these acts were actually actively rooting against themselves, just so they wouldn't have to go to Eurovision. And you don't want to have people in like that. You don't. Operacion Triunfo has a very different mission and a very different audience. And Eurovision has a very different mission and different people watch it. Don't combine these two things. It's not working, and clearly the results show that. And the fact that so many acts don't want to go. Yes, we had like so many singers who had good songs. I'm not going to say any names. We're actually rooting, saying, vote for Miki. We want Miki to win. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. It's really funny. Even last year, they announced the fact that they were going to Eurovision throughout the show. So a lot of jaws dropped. Amaya, for instance, one half of Alfred and Amaya, she really didn't want to go. She didn't have the greatest experience at Eurovision. Granted, they didn't do well. She didn't enjoy doing all these interviews. She just wanted to make music. She didn't want to do Eurovision. She did, of course, because she signed up for it in the end, right? But do you want to have people saying, well, they signed up for it. They know what they're getting themselves into. This is not the right approach. This is not the people we want at Eurovision. I don't mean that in a patronizing manner. I really mean like you need to be completely dedicated. Thankfully, Miki was completely into Eurovision and his experience wasn't translated into results, unfortunately, so Spain kind of lucked out. But even besides that, I just don't think it is the right format. It is clearly not working. It's messy. That how the producers pick, or like the songwriters pick like the acts that they want, their that can sing their song, and they don't really have any input, the singers, and there often seems to be this crazy disconnect between the singer and the song, and it's not working. It's just not working. So I'm really rooting hard for Operacion Triunfo to be not the tool to select the act, in my view. Let me know what your thoughts are, but they are back, and I will not watch Operacion Triunfo until the Eurovision show comes along, if that were to be a case. All right, what else do we have? Okay, let's wrap this up with one more thing, and that is, even though 2020 Eurovision is still a little bit further out, there's another event coming up fairly soon. Well, not that soon. We still got a few more months. It's Junior Eurovision. Yes, the junior version is still coming up in 2019, November 24th. Poland won last year, therefore they get to host it. And they chose Gliwice, they pronounce it, Poland, to be the host city. And yes, they are proud to host it. And that is their first win in any kind of, they cannot win Eurovision, at least they haven't done so yet. But now they have a junior Eurovision win under their belt. Let's talk about the countries that currently have expressed their interest and intentions to take part in 2016. Keep in mind, in 2018, we had 20 participants, which is the highest number of countries taking part ever. Whether we're going to match or beat that remains to be seen. I doubt it. But these are the countries that have confirmed. You can see the list right here: Albania, Armenia, Australia, Azerbaijan, France, Georgia, Ireland, Malta, Netherlands, North Macedonia, Poland, Portugal, Russia, Serbia, Ukraine, Wales. Now keep in mind, all of these countries that I just mentioned, they all took part in 2018, and they said, we would like to be back. That is good. They can still withdraw, I think, from my understanding. So this is not a confirmed list, just a provisional list. So keep that in mind. But these countries most likely will return. Interestingly enough, Georgia already is the only country so far that has chosen the artist, not the song though. Georgi Rostiashvili. Gosh, they just have, I can't do the names. I can't. Let's talk about some of the countries. So first of all, sadly, Israel took part last year. They are not going to be back this year. And so we definitely are down one country so far. Now, Kazakhstan debuted at the contest, the junior version last year as well. We're hoping that they're going to return this year, and they probably will. They need to be invited by the Polish broadcaster in the EBU because they're not a full member of the EBU. They're just an associated member, so they need a special invitation. But I'm fairly confident that they will return, and so not on the official, or not on that list, but I'm fairly confident. Two other countries that have not announced their withdrawal or participation are Belarus and Italy. They took part last year. Will they return this year? That remains to be seen. They did attend the reference group meeting, but whether or not they're going to actually put forward an act, that remains to be seen. Hopefully they will. We want to get the numbers up. But if they both confirm, we would then be at 19 participants, which is still one less participant. Spain, interestingly enough, said they will make their decision or announce their decision whether or not to take part in the contest on June 30th. So in just a little over about a week is when they will let us know if they're going to take part. So if they're in, then we're back to 20, and maybe there's some surprise participants, but I doubt it. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's where we are. So my guess is at this point, as far as participants are concerned, my guess is between 18 to 20 countries. Don't quote me on that, but that's what it looks like. Last year, actually, 2018 was the very first year I actually watched the show. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of kids singing. It's like some of them sound a little creepy to me, but I thought the the quality last year was pretty darn good. There were a lot of good songs. I think Kazakhstan had a beautiful song. My favorite personally was France. That's a song that I would actually listen to. It was youthful, it was catchy, it was fun, it was junior appropriate. I thought France was amazing. So there are other songs that I really enjoyed that year. Armenia was really cool. Ukraine was fantastic. So hopefully we're going to get some really cool music again this year. Now, a lot of Scandinavian countries in particular are not fans of these contest-like shows for children. It seems a little bit too competitive for them. I understand where they're coming from, but keep in mind, even in school events, there are competitive events, whether it's in PE classes or anything. There will always be competition. Now, Eurovision or Junior Eurovision adds a different layer to it because there are cameras on you and Europe is watching and it's a little different. So I get it, especially when you have like your country, I don't know, Malta. Let's say Malta only because they always do well at Junior Eurovision. They come in dead last with like 5 points. For a young kid, that must be devastating. So I understand where they're coming from. I don't have an answer whether or not this should be happening, but it is happening. That's the point. So I will watch it again this year, and hopefully it's going to be another great show, and let's find out who will win. Is it Poland? Is it going to be Malta? I think Malta won twice, and could they bring it a third time? I know Belarus and Georgia are usually pretty good at Eurovision as well, junior that is, even though they don't do as well at the adult version. Interesting how that goes, huh? So let's wait and see. So that is still up for grabs, all that Junior Eurovision stuff. We'll keep you up to date on the progress there. And yep, that's about it. Just wanted to keep you up to date on that as well. These are all the news I had for this week. So as you can see, even though it's a slow week, still plenty of stuff going on, and more stuff will be thrown our way as the week progresses. So make sure to check back here soon. Subscribe to our channel if you want to stay up to date. If you're listening to the podcast, escunited.com is our website. Our YouTube channel, ESC United. We are on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, and with more updates to come soon. So once again, thanks for watching, and I wish you all a happy week, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye now.